everyone, it's Erin Bolt. I'm going to talk to you today about refinishing furniture as opposed to just throwing all that old junk away that you have in your house. What I have in front of me is a butcher's block that was picked up from an auction. Now, I really enjoy refinishing furniture, and I guess you just have to have it in you to do it. But I think it's a better option as opposed to just throwing away or giving away something that you have in your house. If you refinish a piece of furniture, you can really have a nice piece of art in your house. And there's a couple of ways that you can do that. Some things that I talked about in my outline, just some quick fixes. If you do find something from a flea market or if you have something really old around your house, there's this thing called an epoxy pen. It's kind of like putty. You can get it in the same color as the wood. And basically you just go through and kind of fill in some of the cracks that you might have to make it look like one solid piece of wood. That's a quick fix. If you have a wobbly table, something that's kind of coming apart, all you have to do is look in your toolbox. If you have some wood glue, if you have a screwdriver, maybe the piece requires a wrench, all you have to do is tighten up some joints, maybe throw some wood glue in there, clamp it together or hold it together some way, and your piece is almost as good as new. Now, if you wanted to get a little more in depth, you could actually completely strip and restain this piece of furniture. Now, this butcher's block that I have is about 1.5 by 1.5 wide on top and probably about 3 feet tall. There's not a whole lot of wood components to it, so it really shouldn't take all that long. Basically, to get this started, what I would do is go down to the local hardware store and find a chemical stripper. What the stripper does is it releases the stain on top, so you can easily use a paint scraper to scrape the top off and get it off. Anything like that, though, you want to make sure that you have some kind of rubber or latex glove to use because you don't want to get any of that chemical on your hands. It can burn your skin. So once you have removed all of the old stain, you can take some steel wool, take a box knife, kind of get into any of the grooves and then the cracks in your piece. As you can tell on this, there is an indentation all the way around, so whatever it is that you're cutting on here, you can kind of keep some of the juices from flowing over the edge. After you've gotten all the stain and you're ready to sand, you can use a fine grit sandpaper just to kind of run over the top, get rid of any sort of bumps or nicks that you might have. Once the sanding is done, you're going to have a whole bunch of wood dust on here. You need to get a cloth and just wipe it clean really well because you don't want that dust getting into your new stain. It'll be there forever unless you decide you want to refinish it again. Get all of it clean. Apply your new stain. Again, you can use a soft cloth and just go back and forth across the piece, whatever it is you're doing. Make sure that you do it in even coats because you don't want any light or dark spots on your piece of furniture. After that, you just let it dry. If you're going to do this inside, make sure that it's well ventilated. If you're going to do it outside, make sure that it's not a windy day out and you don't have any dirt or debris flying over and sticking on your piece of furniture. Some other things that you could do, as I mentioned in my outline, there is something called decoupage. And basically what decoupage is, you can take any sort of paper material, the stuff you put in presents, in the bags, wax paper, magazine clippings, anything. Get yourself some glue, and what you're going to do is just take those pieces, kind of glue it down, and then put more glue on top, and it will dry clear. So what you're left with is a collage, if you want to put a collage on there, to make it an interesting piece of art in your house. I don't know that I would necessarily decoupage the top of my butcher's block, but I could do it on the legs. It's an interesting idea. If you're so artistically inclined, you could also maybe paint the legs, paint a flower design, or maybe some pictures of food. Who knows? Whatever you want to do. I think that refinishing furniture is a good way to add an interesting piece of art essentially to your house. And then when your friends come over, you can say, hey, look, I redid that all by myself. It's a fun and a rewarding job. I really, really enjoy refinishing furniture, and I can't wait until I get some extra time to redo this so it's not just sitting in my kitchen. Thank you.